Imagine walking out of your local grocery store, keys in hand, ready to head home to your family. You feel safe. You feel prepared. You have done everything right. But in that single moment, a simple misunderstanding, a minor traffic dispute, or even just the way you are standing could turn your life upside down. The police arrive. They see a weapon. They see a potential threat. And because of a recent shift in how the law is interpreted across the country, what happens next is no longer up to you. It is up to them. And if you do not understand the new rules, you could lose your freedom, your livelihood, and your future before you even get a chance to explain yourself. This is not a scare tactic. This is the new reality for millions of Americans who carry firearms for protection. The landscape has changed. The Supreme Court has spoken. And while many people are celebrating a victory for rights, very few are talking about the dangerous trap that has been set for the unprepared. If you carry a firearm, or if you are thinking about starting, you need to hear this. The old advice you heard 5 years ago might now be the very thing that lands you in handcuffs. The margin for error has vanished. The stakes have never been higher, and the clock is ticking on your ability to get informed before a mistake becomes permanent. The decision you have likely heard about in the headlines is being hailed as a landmark victory. It struck down restrictive laws that made it nearly impossible for law-abiding citizens to carry firearms in public. On the surface, this sounds like pure freedom. It sounds like the government stepping back and letting you protect yourself. But here is the part that almost nobody tells you. When the government steps back, the responsibility shifts entirely to you. And with that shift comes a complex web of local regulations, hidden restrictions, and legal landmines that vary from city to city, county to county, and state to state. The Supreme Court did not create a free-for-all. They did not say you can carry a gun anywhere, anytime, without consequence. What they did was remove the blanket bans, leaving behind a patchwork of rules that are confusing, contradictory, and dangerously easy to violate by accident. Most people do not realize that winning the right to carry also means accepting the burden of knowing exactly where you can and cannot go. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. In fact, in the eyes of the law, ignorance is often treated as negligence, and negligence with a firearm is a felony. This is where people go wrong. They hear the news. They feel empowered. They strap on their holster and go about their day, assuming that because the Supreme Court said yes, the answer is yes everywhere. But the reality is far more nuanced. The court's decision opened the door, but it did not remove the walls. Those walls are built from local ordinances, private property rights, and specific statutory exceptions that remain firmly in place. If you walk into a prohibited zone, even with the best intentions, you are committing a crime. And unlike in the past, where a warning might have been issued, law enforcement today is under immense pressure to take every potential threat seriously. The combination of heightened public anxiety and strict legal boundaries means that a simple mistake can escalate into a life-altering event in seconds. You need to understand that the law is not static. It is a living, breathing entity that changes based on where you stand. One step across a property line, one wrong turn into a restricted area, and you are no longer a protected citizen. You are a suspect. If you care about protecting yourself and your family from these hidden legal traps, consider subscribing to this channel. We dive deep into the realities that mainstream news ignores, giving you the practical knowledge you need to stay safe and stay free. This is not about politics. It is about survival, and survival requires information. So if you want to ensure you are never caught off guard by a law you did not know existed, make sure you are part of this community. Your safety depends on staying informed, and we are here to make sure you have the tools to do just that. Let's break down what actually happened. The Supreme Court ruled that laws requiring individuals to show a special need or unique danger to obtain a carry permit are unconstitutional. This means that states can no longer force you to prove you are more likely to be attacked than your neighbor just to exercise your right to self-defense. This is a massive win for constitutional rights. However, the court also affirmed that governments can still designate sensitive places where firearms are prohibited. This is the critical detail that gets lost in the noise. Sensitive places can include schools, government buildings, polling places, and public transit. But here is the dangerous part. Some states and cities have attempted to expand this definition aggressively. They have tried to label entire downtown areas, public parks, or even busy sidewalks as sensitive places. While many of these overreaches are being challenged in lower courts, the legal battle is ongoing. Until a final ruling is made, you are caught in the crossfire. If you carry in a zone that a local government claims is sensitive, you risk arrest. Even if that ban is eventually struck down, you still have to deal with the arrest, the legal fees, the lost time, and the criminal record that may linger during the process. Consider the scenario of a father picking up his child from school. He has a valid carry permit. He keeps his firearm in his car, locked in the glove box, as he waits in the parking lot. In some jurisdictions, this is perfectly legal. In others, the definition of a school zone extends hundreds of feet beyond the campus, encompassing the public street where he is parked. If he is unaware of this boundary, he is technically in possession of a firearm in a prohibited area. If a police officer notices the vehicle, or if there is a minor incident nearby that draws attention, that father could be charged with a felony. The fact that he was a responsible parent trying to keep his family safe does not matter in the initial moments of enforcement. The law is black and white. You are either in compliance or you are not, and the burden of proof is on you to know the lines you cannot cross. This is what nobody tells you about the post-decision landscape. The burden of education has shifted entirely to the individual. You cannot rely on the state to teach you the rules. You cannot assume that because a place looks public, it is open. Private businesses have the right to prohibit firearms on their premises. This is a civil matter, not necessarily a criminal one, but the consequences can be just as severe. If a business owner asks you to leave because you are carrying, and you refuse, you can be charged with trespassing. If you have a firearm on you during that trespass, the charges escalate. Many carriers do not realize that a no-guns sign is not just a suggestion. In many states, ignoring such a sign is a criminal offense. In others, it may not be criminal initially, but it gives the property owner the right to revoke your license to be there. The interaction that follows can be tense, unpredictable, and dangerous. You must know the specific laws of your state regarding posted signs. Do they have to be a certain size? Do they have to use specific language? Do they have to be at every entrance? These details matter. Missing one small detail can cost you everything. And this is where it gets serious. The emotional toll of carrying a firearm is often overlooked. When you carry, you are making a conscious decision to accept the responsibility of using lethal force if necessary. This is a heavy weight. It requires a mindset of constant awareness. You must be aware of your surroundings, aware of the law, and aware of the people around you. The Supreme Court decision did not change the moral or ethical weight of that responsibility. If anything, it increased it. With more people carrying, the likelihood of encounters between armed citizens increases. Misunderstandings can happen. A concealed carrier might be mistaken for an active shooter. A person reaching for their phone might be misinterpreted as reaching for a weapon. In these high-stress situations, split-second decisions determine life and death. You must be prepared not just legally, but mentally. You must be able to de-escalate situations before they turn violent. You must be able to communicate clearly with law enforcement if you are ever involved in an incident. The law protects those who act reasonably, but reasonableness is judged after the fact, by people who were not there. Your actions in the heat of the moment will be dissected, analyzed, and judged. You need to be sure that your actions will hold up under that scrutiny. What happens next changes everything for how you approach your daily routine. You can no longer operate on autopilot. You must actively plan your movements. Before you enter a building, you need to know its policy. Before you park your car, you need to know the local zoning laws. Before you engage in a confrontation, you need to know the legal justification for using force. This level of vigilance is exhausting for some, but it is necessary for others. It is the price of freedom. And it is a price that many are willing to pay, but only if they understand what they are buying. If you think you are just buying a right to carry a gun, you are mistaken. You are buying a responsibility to uphold the law, to protect the innocent, and to maintain the peace. If you fail in that responsibility, the system will not protect you. It will punish you. Here is what most people miss. The legal landscape is not uniform. What is legal in one state may be a felony in the next, and it is not just state lines that matter. county lines, and city limits can have different rules. If you travel for work, if you go on vacation, if you visit family in another state, you are entering a new legal environment. You cannot assume that your home state permit is recognized everywhere. While there are reciprocity agreements between some states, they are not universal. Carrying in a state that does not recognize your permit is a serious crime. It is often treated as illegal possession of a firearm, which can carry mandatory minimum prison sentences. You could be driving through a state, stop for gas, and inadvertently break the law simply by having your firearm in the car. This is not hypothetical. It happens regularly. People who are careful in their home states find themselves in jail in other states because they did not check the reciprocity laws. The Supreme Court decision did not fix this patchwork. It did not create a national carry permit. It left the regulation of carry laws to the states, which means the complexity remains. You must do your homework before you travel. You must know where you are going and what the rules are there. Failure to do so is not an excuse. It is a gamble with your freedom. If you find this information valuable, please take a moment to like this video. It helps us reach more people who need to hear this message. There are millions of carriers out there who are unaware of the nuances of the new legal landscape. By liking this video, you help spread this critical information to those who might otherwise remain in the dark. Your support allows us to continue producing high-quality, in-depth content that prioritizes your safety and understanding. It is a small action, but it makes a big difference in ensuring that accurate, life-saving information reaches the people who need it most. Let's talk about the interaction with law enforcement. This is perhaps the most critical aspect of carrying a firearm in the modern era. If you are stopped by police, whether for a traffic violation or any other reason, your behavior can determine the outcome of the encounter. In many states, you are required to inform the officer immediately that you are carrying a firearm. In other states, you are only required to disclose if asked. Knowing which rule applies in your jurisdiction is vital. Failing to inform an officer when required can lead to additional charges. Even if not required, failing to disclose can create a dangerous situation. If an officer sees a weapon or suspects you are armed, they will react with caution. They may draw their own weapon. They may order you out of the car. The situation can escalate quickly. Being transparent and calm can de-escalate the tension. Keep your hands visible. Follow instructions. Do not reach for anything unless told to do so. Remember, the officer's primary concern is their safety and yours. By cooperating and communicating clearly, you reduce the risk of a tragic misunderstanding. But you must know your rights and your obligations. You must practice these interactions in your mind so that you are prepared if they happen in real life. Panic is your enemy. Preparation is your ally. The media often portrays these interactions in a polarized way. They focus on the extremes. They show the worst-case scenarios. But the reality for most law-abiding carriers is mundane. Most interactions with police are routine. Most carriers go their entire lives without ever having to use their firearm or even draw it. But the potential for disaster is always there. And it is that potential that requires constant vigilance. You must be ready for the rare event while living through the common ones. This balance is difficult to maintain. It requires discipline. It requires humility. It requires a willingness to admit that you could be wrong, that you could make a mistake, and that the consequences of that mistake could be catastrophic. The Supreme Court gave you the right to carry. It did not give you the right to be careless. It did not give you the right to ignore the law. It gave you the opportunity to take responsibility for your own safety. With that opportunity comes a duty to educate yourself, to train regularly, and to act with integrity. The part almost nobody is prepared for is the social stigma. Despite the legal victories, carrying a firearm is still controversial in many circles. You may face judgment from friends, family, or colleagues. You may be excluded from certain social gatherings. You may be misunderstood by those who fear firearms. This social pressure can lead to secrecy, which can lead to mistakes. You might hide your carry status from loved ones, which means they do not know how to support you or how to act in an emergency. You might avoid discussing your training or your legal knowledge, which means you miss out on valuable feedback and perspective. It is important to build a community of like-minded individuals who understand the responsibility of carrying. Surround yourself with people who Value safety, legality, and preparedness. Learn from them. Share your experiences. Support each other. This community can be a lifeline in times of crisis. It can provide the emotional and practical support you need to navigate the complexities of carrying in today's world. As we look to the future, the legal battles are far from over. Lower courts will continue to interpret the Supreme Court's decision. New laws will be passed. Old laws will be challenged. The landscape will continue to shift. You must stay updated. You cannot learn the laws once and forget them. You must make it a habit to check for changes in your local regulations. Subscribe to legal updates from reputable organizations. Attend training courses that cover legal aspects of self-defense. Read books and articles written by experts in the field. Knowledge is your best defense. It is the shield that protects you from the unintended consequences of a changing legal system. Do not let complacency creep in. Do not assume that because you have carried safely for years, you are immune to error. The law changes. Your environment changes. Your responsibilities evolve. Stay sharp. Stay informed. Stay safe. This brings us to the core message of this discussion. The Supreme Court decision was a victory, but it was not a finish line. It was a starting point. It marked the beginning of a new era where individual responsibility is paramount. You are no longer just a passive recipient of rights. You are an active participant in the legal and social fabric of your community. Your actions matter. Your choices matter. Your knowledge matters. If you choose to carry, you are making a statement. You are saying that you are willing to take on the burden of protection. You are saying that you are willing to uphold the law. You are saying that you are willing to defend the innocent. This is a noble pursuit, but it is not an easy one. It requires dedication. It requires courage. It requires wisdom. Do not let the excitement of the legal victory blind you to the realities on the ground. The dangers are real. The risks are significant, but they are manageable if you are prepared. Take the time to learn the laws in your area. Train regularly with your firearm. Practice situational awareness. Develop a plan for interacting with law enforcement. Build a support network. Stay informed about legal developments. These steps will not guarantee that you will never face a problem, but they will significantly reduce the likelihood of a disaster. They will give you the confidence to carry responsibly. They will give you the peace of mind that comes from knowing you are doing everything you can to protect yourself and your loved ones. If you have found this script helpful, please share it with someone who carries a firearm or is considering doing so. This information could save their life, their freedom, or their future. There are too many people out there who are unaware of the nuances of the new legal landscape. They are walking into potential traps without knowing it. By sharing this video, you are helping to protect them. You are contributing to a safer, more informed community. Your share could be the catalyst that prevents a tragedy. It could be the link that connects someone with the knowledge they need to avoid a devastating mistake. Do not underestimate the power of sharing accurate, life-saving information. Be the person who looks out for others. Be the person who spreads awareness. Be the person who helps others stay safe. In conclusion, the Supreme Court's 9-0 decision on carry laws has reshaped the landscape of self-defense in America. It has expanded rights, but it has also intensified responsibilities. The key to navigating this new terrain is education, preparation, and vigilance. You must know the law. You must know your limits. You must know your obligations. Do not take your rights for granted. Do not assume that the law is on your side if you act negligently. The law protects those who respect it. It punishes those who ignore it. Choose to be among the protected. Choose to be among the prepared. Choose to be among the responsible. Your freedom depends on it. Your family depends on it. Your future depends on it. Stay alert. Stay educated. Stay safe. And remember, the most important tool you carry is not the firearm in your holster. It is the knowledge in your mind. Protect it. Nurture it. Use it wisely. This is your duty. This is your privilege. This is your reality. Act accordingly.